Aloha and like Flynn viewers, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be breaking down Black Phone 2. I've been looking forward to this movie for a very long time. And if you have not yet seen it, you may want to click off because we are going to be diving into some major spoiler territory. Who lives? Who dies? The victims, what's going on in the movie, the breakdown of it, what I loved, what I didn't love. So we're going to get into all that in this little chat here. And there's a lot to break down. So if you haven't yet seen Black Phone 2, click off now because this is your last warning, seriously. All right, well, if you are a fan of Black Phone 1, you will enjoy Black Phone 2. Now, bottom line up front, was Black Phone 2 as good as Black Phone 1? I don't think so, but it is a good movie. If you are a fan of slashers, you will enjoy Black Phone 2. Now, I say that because I feel like Black Phone 2 was a much different movie than Black Phone 1. Black Phone 1 was much more of a psychological thriller where you had the grabber who was very much a human, very vile human, who grabbed up these kids, killed them in the basement, disposed of their bodies, and the ghosts of these children are helping out Finney, who is trying to escape the basement and the grabber. Ultimately, at the end of Black Phone 1, he does that with the help of these ghosts and his sister Gwen, who through her psychic abilities was able to find where Finney was located, and good old happy ending. Everything was wrapped up. Then they announced they were going to do Black Phone 2. And so you're going to wonder, where are they going from here? Because the grabber, he's dead. Everything was wrapped up with a nice tight little bow. Everything's good to go. Well, if you need to make a movie that's going to make a lot of money, with not a lot of cast expenditure, you know what I mean? Well, we're going to go Black Phone 2. And Black Phone 2 is much more of a slasher flick because now we have Ethan Hawke, once again playing the grabber, but now he is a supernatural entity. He is a return from hell entity. So now we're getting much more into the slasher category. Now, the one issue that I have with Black Phone 2, it's kind of weird because I kind of like it, I kind of dislike it, is that Black Phone 2 is basically ripping off a bunch of different horror franchises. The main one, which you'll probably get from the trailers, is Nightmare on Elm Street, because now the grabber is harnessing his power from his childhood stomping grounds, this Christian camp, and he is harnessing his power from these 3 dead children that he killed way back in the day, who have not yet been found, that are being tormented and are haunting this Alpine Lake Christian camp. And so they are now calling out to Gwen, his sister, and Finney, and there's going to be a lot going on. But now where Black Phone 1, like I said, was Finney's movie, Black Phone 2 is very much Gwen's movie. Finney in this movie does play a part. He is probably the second main character, but again, he plays sort of second fiddle in this movie to Gwen, the sister who has the psychic ability. She is the one that's being tormented. She is the one who is getting these calls from her mother. And we kind of know early on, we don't technically know that's her mom calling, but really, if you're a fan of the franchise, it's the worst kept secret in the movie that it was her mom that was calling her, and they have these back and forth conversations. And throughout the course of the movie, we learn more and more and more about the grabber and what's really going on. We find ourselves going back to this Alpine Lake Christian camp where some weird things are going on. And lo and behold, Senor Bob is there. If you're a fan of Quentin Tarantino's Hateful Eight, well, Senor Bob is there. And you might as well call him Senor Bob because he pretty much has the same dialect and everything, just a little bit different of a character. So I just kept calling him Senor Bob. In the movie, let's see, what his name was, Armando. So not Senor Bob, we're going Armando. Played by Demian Bashir. Good actor. All right, so we're set up, right? We're going back to Alpine Lakes. We're trying to solve the murders of these 3 kids. Well, lo and behold, we find out that the grabber, he used to be called Wild Bill Hickok. All right, so that kind of takes some Silence of the Lambs. So now we've got Nightmare on Elm Street, we got Silence of the Lambs, but we also got a little bit of The Shining mixed in because they are stuck at this Christian camp because of a big blizzard. They can't go anywhere because of the weather. So then you got little elements of that. You've got elements of The Conjuring. You've got more jump scares in this movie where they're just trying to freak you out with the ghosts of these children. Just a lot of horror franchises rolled into one, and they just kind of picked and choose what they wanted to take from. But obviously, again, the biggest one is Nightmare on Elm Street. All right, so this time around, our main players are Finney and Gwen, And then we also have Ernesto, who is a romantic interest for Gwen, much to Finney's chagrin. Now, Finney, in his own little story, he's kind of doing drugs. He's still a little traumatized from the events of the first film. He's smoking pot nonstop. He's got violence issues. He's like bashing the hell out of kids, getting tons of fights. But he is kind of like the big man on campus. Everybody wants to know Finney, and he gets a lot of flack and respect from what happened with the grabber. Well, lo and behold, they get drugged back into this new thing. Now, here is my main issue with this movie. It could easily be PG-13. What makes this movie rated R is that you get some gruesome flashback images with tons of blood and guts and killing of kids, but it's done in a way where we really don't see the murder happen, and it's just like gratuitous blood and guts for just the sake of getting a rated R rating. There isn't a ton of cursing. There isn't any nudity or anything like that. Really, just what makes it rated R is just some randomly thrown in shots that I don't think even needed to be there. Now, in terms of a slasher movie, here's my other major issue with this movie. The grabber, he has these supernatural abilities to affect the real world, like Freddy Krueger, through the dreams of Gwen. So when Gwen falls asleep, he can attack Gwen. What happens to her happens in real life. She can die in real life if he kills her in her dream. But there are also human beings that are in the normal world that are around Gwen. And for some reason that's not really explained, he can attack those characters, including Finney, including the people at this camp, including Ernesto, including Damien Bashir. He can attack and kill whoever he wants to because he's drawing his power from these three kids whose murder we're trying to solve and find their bodies. The problem is, he really only goes after Gwen. He attacks her. She gets messed up. I mean, she gets tormented throughout this whole movie, attacked, bloodied up, and basically the whole movie is like, hey, we got to stop Wild Bill from killing Gwen in her dreams, so they're stopping her, watching her around the clock, while other people are kind of getting attacked on the side in almost a humorous way. Problem is, like, the grabber isn't killing anybody. So he has these amazing abilities. He tries to kill one or two of the characters unsuccessfully. So that kind of is like, dude, you're failing at your main mission. All you got to do is kill these people. They really could have killed those characters. Especially like Ernesto, I felt like he was expendable. I felt like Armando was expendable. There was another side character named Mustang, who was another camp person. And just no, there's all these characters that were there, and you're like, all right, they're going to be victims. I get it. You know, we're waiting for them to meet their demise. Nope. They get attacked. That's about it. So the number of actual deaths that occur in this movie, the death toll, and this includes Finney and the dad, Gwen, everybody, besides the three kids that were murdered in the past. I guess technically you could say Gwen's mom. We find out that Gwen's mother was a victim of the grabber. She didn't commit suicide like it was previously said in the first movie. She was a victim of the grabber, Wild Bill Hickok. But the death count in this movie, I guess you could say 4, but they were all in the past, like nothing in the present. So really, the kill count in this movie should be 0. That's why I say it could be a PG-13 movie, because there really isn't a whole lot of death, gore, stuff like that, except for some shots where they're like, hey, we need to make this movie rated R so it seems more sinister. And we're going to, have these shots of, it was like CGI, kids' face sliced half off and like gutted and things like that weren't even necessary. They weren't necessary really in the first movie, and there was a lot more toned down. And so it's the same with this movie. So really, it's just this movie is a failure of the grabber / Wild Bill to do his job. He didn't kill anyone. He basically failed. Now, he was a very scary entity. They built him up like really kind of cool with the mask, and he has this like messed up jaw and kind of disfigured and gross, and he's got this vendetta. He wants to get revenge on Finn and all this good stuff. But in the end, the guy was an asshole. He didn't kill a single person, even though he could have killed someone in the dream world and they would have died in real life. He killed nobody. I'm sitting here really looking at the cast, and I'm like, lived, attacked, lived, Yeah. So that was my main issue with the movie. Did I enjoy the movie? Yes, because I'm a fan of the horror genre, and I was a fan of the first movie. That being said, like I said, this one's not really a psychological thriller. It's more of a slasher movie that's borrowed from a bunch of different stuff. So in the end, if you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, you get it. If you haven't seen this movie, you might be a little bit disappointed in the end. They're literally on a lake. Get the kids up. They find out that these kids are buried at the bottom of this lake with these barrels. Gwen falls asleep, goes under the ice, starts bringing the kids' bodies up. As the kids' bodies come up, magically that takes away the grabber's powers because he's drawing his power, which it's sort of funny that throughout this movie, that's just kind of like a guess, like, oh, he must be getting his power from these 3 dead kids and they want to be released. And that's why they keep, coming to me, coming to Gwen. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It wasn't explained that well. It was just a shot in the dark. But here we are. We're at the end of the movie. We just kind of stumble upon the end of the movie. And let's get these 3 bodies. As soon as the 3 bodies come up, well, guess what? Now they have help taking the grabber back to hell. And these 3 dead bodies, these 3 souls are released. And lo and behold, grabber loses power. Can't kill Finn. Can't kill anyone. He slashes a couple people in the face, in the forehead. And he tried to drown a guy. That was kind of silly. Didn't work out. And that was that. He lost his power. Gwen killed him. And then we move on. Gwen makes peace with her dead mom. Mom calls. They have a cute little thing saying how heaven is so nice. And, everyone says hello from some of the characters from the prior movies. And again, we are all wrapped up. Gwen asks her mom if she's going to always be cursed with this. Mom says it's a blessing, not a curse. And cue the end of the movie. No post-credit scenes. That is that. Did I enjoy the movie? Yeah. Major plot holes, issues? Yeah. The trailer sums it up well. The trailer is what you're going to get in this movie. Overall, I'm going to say I probably give this movie like a 3 out of 5. And really, I think that's because so much is borrowed from other franchises, which kind of felt lazy. And they should have stuck to the psychological horror aspect of the movie. Figured out the way to bring the grabber back. And really, for a horror movie, you need to have a bigger body count. To have a body count of basically 0, that kind of sucks. Because all the murders were in the past. We're basically just getting flashbacks. And we really don't even see the murders so much. I mean, just like some horrid little shots of killing kids. I mean, it's troubling, but I think it could easily have been a PG-13 movie. Well, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed Black Phone 2. I really kind of hope they don't make Black Phone 3. I get it's a money grab. Ethan Hawke is great as the grabber. I love that character. I think it's just something, though, that needs to go and be done. The story has been told. I think if they do another movie, it's strictly a cash grab. There's really nowhere else to go with this. We've covered the grabber's life, the kids that he took, and that's it. If he comes back again, it's basically going to be Freddy Krueger. Might as well call it Nightmare on Elm Street with Ethan Hawke, the grabber, and just call it Nightmare on Elm Street and teamed up with Freddy Krueger or something, because that's what you're going to get. I thought that was cool. They went in that direction. Like I said, it wasn't a ripoff, but they didn't do anything with it once they were there. Anyway, well, until next time, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did like it, click on the like button, comment. I'd love to have a chat with you down in the comments about what you thought about the movie. And until next time, peace out, everyone. Aloha.